NelsonJoypad.com bring you another original.
The two are very close. Brothers, in fact. And that's what makes this story so drenched in sorrow. For Kuma loved Afro with every breath, and watched as Afro killed their master and aided the butchering of Kuma's adopted brothers and sister by his selfish acts.
Oh man, where do I start with Afro Samurai 2? I'm not a big fan of the franchise, but I love all the ingredients of the series. Japanese samurais and ninjas, cybernetics, a dash of western gunfighting, and the RZA's blend of hip-hop to liven it all up. It's a series that has undeniable style. My biggest problem with this game, though, lies with its substance, which is downright horrible. Honestly, it might be one of my least favorite games of the past few years, and I was glad when I beat this volume in one afternoon. It's such a mess, I don't even know where to begin. Let's start with some good points. Visually, I simply love the nonsensical structure of it all. This world seems stuck in a time of lanterns and clay pots, but can somehow run sophisticated sound systems and AC units. Like peanut butter and jellyfish? It's a brilliantly bizarre blend that shouldn't work but somehow does. I don't think I would have ever thought a sword-swinging samurai with a teddy bear head could be cool, but somehow he is. This game takes place entirely from Kuma's point of view, and there's only a brief glimpse of Afro Samurai. I love the idea of changing the perspective to someone who has just as much anger as Afro, especially since Kuma does have a pretty big axe to grind. Sadly, the storyline spends the first half of the game recapping Kuma's heartache and the rise of his desire for revenge on Afro. Outside of that, even fans of the previous entries in the series won't find much in terms of new story here. You travel from Mount Shumi to a city with a strip club to the Temple of Justice. Your goal is to stop all the killing that the superficial headbands have caused by killing anyone and everyone who gets in your way of destroying them. Cutscenes adopt a comic book style, but honestly feel like a cost-saving measure over an artistic decision. I might have had a different opinion if the environments looked like the developers cared at all about matching the quality of the models. Certain sections poorly utilize a strange slow motion effect, jumping in and out of it without rhyme or reason. Scenes are suspended in a moment in time, and yet things like fire effects and water animations continue flowing. The most appalling? Sometimes the game will just hold on to some production artwork for a minute while it vocalizes the scene.
I do not know who these men are, but they are relentless in their pursuit of all that is holy. We must get to the waterfront in time to save ourselves.
I've never seen a project so comfortably asleep behind the wheel. There's nothing to say positive about the story regardless, even if they did have flowing visuals. Its dialogue is boring, long-winded nonsense. Quite honestly, a huge surprise considering Jim DeFleece wrote this tripe. Characters rant on and on as the camera pans around in what can only be described as head-bangingly stupid tirades. I understand you have to fill the game up for your $15 price tag to seem justifiable, but this is not the way you do it. Honestly, Justice has a monologue that runs for 4 uninterrupted minutes.
Your actions gave me substance. Let me live. You have been doing my good work. Is this what you wanted? To face your God? Then kneel. Kneel before your God. You think I made you what you are? Oh no. It was you. You chose this path. You chose to worship me. I just led the way. Thinking about the look on your daddy's face always makes me smile. He tried to warn you. You saw what he said. His dry lips quivering in the dust. You just chose to ignore it. You listened to me instead.
The character waxing philosophical about the irony of killing. The game had me yelling at my monitor, begging it just to end the scene. Not only that, but it's also poorly written in terms of story structure. They actually have flashbacks while they're already in the middle of a flashback. Then, when you do get to where the series left off, it's just a lot of characters screaming each other's names in either anger or fear.
Over here, Hero! I found Swordmaster and Substance!
Your hero's plans or intentions are almost entirely unclear, and you'll travel to locations without fully understanding what's going on. I'm not big into this series, but it's fairly obvious that fans are not getting a true expansion of their storyline. The game lacks any idea of what pacing is. The cutscenes run too long. Action segments start and then immediately stop. Enemies take way too long to cut down. The game will give you back the controls and then promptly pull them away to touch on ideas it just went over. The game is only 3 hours long but seems so much longer, and you'll constantly feel like you're in the way of the game's meandering attempts at providing entertainment. Not only that, but the battle system is also poorly executed. You're given 3 battle styles based on the warriors in Kuma's life: Swordmaster, Afro Samurai, and Kuma's system. While there is some diversity among them, it isn't enough to make it interesting. Kuma's style is by far the best, but it's because he has a one-hit kill system that will wipe out most of a room's enemies. This encourages you to use this style more than any other option. Upgrading these styles is without any thought or planning, as you're only choosing between 2 paths that will come back together in the end. Regardless of which style you favor, you'll have all 3 of them upgraded in 1 hour regardless of what diverse path you choose. Not that all of this matters, because it all feels like button mashing in the end, with even reversals failing to matter because enemies can't strike you when you're swinging. You would think that poor combat would be the biggest problem, and it's not! The game is glitchy. Beyond any understanding, this game's frame rate is atrocious for such a standard looking experience. The game periodically drops down to the single digits, and the camera floats around randomly, leaving you confused by what direction you're heading given any choppy second. You'll fall through platforms and walk through walls to your death. Enemies will suddenly be unable to hit you as you stand there and watch them swing with their best efforts. Textures pop out on fully stationary objects. I would have loved to downgrade the graphics or smooth out some options, but the game doesn't even allow that. If it had, I might have been able to read important instructions, which for some reason run off the edge of the frame. To call this game buggy would be an injustice because of how cute the word is, and there is nothing redeeming about these grievous oversights. The character models look okay, however, and they retain the charm of the series, but the developers have done very little to animate them into believable characters. Everyone just stands around ranting with no visible emotion.
No one will mourn for us. Fate has caught up with us both. I have to kill you.
Honestly, these stoic characters had me begging for some arm lifts or something. When your game makes me long for the expressiveness of Resident Evil, you're doing it wrong. Not to mention, every character has a scarf over their face to hide the fact that the developers didn't want to animate their mouths. I get that that's a pretty bold statement, and I might agree I was jumping to conclusions if it weren't for the fact that there are characters who talk without moving their visible lips.
The categories: young and stupid, or old and stupid, but they all end up dead.
Despite not animating focal characters, they have a topless woman who sits in the background of a lifeless shot, her legs flapping around as if her lower extremities were injected with speed. That, and their eyeballs shoot out of their skulls during transitions. Boss battles are a joke. There's a guy named Two Hammers who wants to take you on because of undisclosed reasons. His main move is somehow spinning in suspended animation with 2 hammers, oh, I just got that, swinging on either side. After avoiding this lazy bit of animation, it comes down to 2 minutes of repeatedly tapping buttons in a QuickTime event. If I have to switch my hands in the middle of your boss fight, you should either shorten the experience or find an actual way of bringing enjoyment and challenge to your climactic battles. Audio-wise, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's laughable as well. The music isn't bad, it's the way it's been arranged. music just ends and starts up on a slow build in the most awkward of ways.
A lot of people don't appreciate the simple things.
Rappers perform in the background while characters talk at the same time, allowing me to understand neither. Not that it matters, every voice actor fails to provide inflection or any emotional delivery to their performance.
You will die here, Bearman. You will die like all the others. Run, Bearman. Run for your life. I've come for you. Soldiers, army, rise. Rise and take your place among your brothers defending this holy place.
Everyone just sounds like a street corner preacher delivering their monotone sermon about existential nonsense through a tin can. I don't know how to explain this any clearer. This game is not worth your money. According to Redacted Studios' website, they can take an idea from early concept to finished product with packaging in less time and for considerably less cost than internal teams. Well, they nailed it. This game feels cheap. This experience doesn't feel like a team's best effort and falls somewhere between a loveless project and a complete cash-in. It's a shame too, because there's a loyal fan base out there that deserves much better than this. Afro Samurai 2 is without a doubt one of the worst games I've played in my time here at Mouse and Joypad, and I played Cricket Captain 2015. The combat encourages endless button mashing. The boss battles aren't difficult or interesting. The story doesn't even get out of bed. Characters are emotionless and say their lines with discontent that only unpaid interns could provide. On top of everything, the game is buggy beyond compromise, breaking any immersion the game might have had. It's $15, so it'll cost you $5 an hour if you want one of the lamest experiences you'll ever have with a teddy bear obsessed samurai. My name is Trevor Anderson with Mouse and Joypad. If you've enjoyed this review and you want to see more like it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.
It's fucking great.